listening to Can't Feel the Heat, the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival unofficial podcast, the #1 Coachella podcast on the internet. Our mission is to explore the complexities of Coachella, covering the news, music, artists, technology, and business of the greatest music festival in the world. Subscribe to this podcast, follow us on Instagram at Can't Feel the Heat, and visit our website at www.can'tfeeltheheat.com. Can't Feel the Heat is produced by Tom Nash in Redondo Beach, California.
Welcome back to Can't Feel the Heat. Our guest today is Angel Chavez. He is an entrepreneur from the Coachella Valley, and he is the creator behind the #1 Coachella channel on YouTube with over 100 videos dedicated to the festival. Welcome, Angel.
What's up? How's it going?
Good to have you here. Our co-host is Vanessa Franko. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hello. Happy whatever week what month is it? It's Groundhog Day forever. It's so great to be back.
Vanessa, do you have a news update for us? What's going on with Coachella?
Well, for any of our listeners who listened to us on our last one, we were talking about, will Coachella be here in April? They hadn't said anything. As soon as we recorded, like a couple days later, the county pulled the plug on Coachella officially for April 2021. So I talked to Dr. Cameron Kaiser. He is the top health official in Riverside County and the guy who signs the orders that says everything is canceled. You can't have this. And so I asked him, I was like, okay, the numbers are going up, right? Or as far as like vaccinations are going up, the number of positive cases are going down. We're still a couple months away. Why now? And he pointed out, he's like, look, nothing like this can happen anywhere in the state. It doesn't matter that it's Riverside County. You know, even if things are looking better now, it's going to be a long time before you can have an event of this magnitude. I tried to press him on like what's going to happen in the fall. He didn't really like have anything. He's like, anything's a possibility kind of, but he really didn't talk about like any possibilities for when we might see an event like this being back. Along those lines, I also asked him, because we talked about, would Goldenvoice be doing part of the vaccination sites like out there at the polo field? And he said that they hadn't had discussions, the county had discussions with Goldenvoice, but nothing was firm yet. As of right now, when we were recording this, a few days after Valentine's Day, nothing official has come out about that yet. So on the Goldenvoice front, no one's really said too much about the fact that it's been canceled for April. I know on the Facebook group, some people had received emails about refund options, and I know some folks got their refunds for their 20th anniversary books, or I guess it was 21st anniversary books, the awesome books they were going to do last year, which made me really sad because I thought that looked really, really cool. So that's kind of the biggest thing right now, is that it's not happening in April. And since everyone's quiet, I will be very shocked if we see it in October too.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a huge surprise for October right now, basically. Angel, what do you think, man? How are your thoughts on Coachella right now as it stands in February 2021?
Yeah, I don't see it happening in October. I think they're going to wait till April 2022, just because even if you have it in October, it will be some kind of limited type of event. And then how would that affect the people because I still have my tickets for 2020. I don't even know. I don't know how that works. I still have my bracelet. I never got a refund because I know I'm going to go to the festival whenever that happens, 2023. But it's weird that Goldenvoice hasn't announced anything, because what about the people that want to get their money back now? Because they gave us an option the last 2 times they canceled to get your money back. And now that Riverside kind of pulled the plug, I was expecting Goldenvoice to say something or at least send an email, but nothing.
This vaccination site, is it still just kind of a rumor about the polo grounds being used as a vaccination site? Because it's actually kind of cool. Like, I think that would get a lot of people to churn up for the vaccine if it's kind of like a Coachella experience, right? Curated by Goldenvoice. But we're not hearing really anything solid on that, right?
No, and I believe that the county, one of the vaccination sites, and Angel actually might know this a little bit better, is actually down the street at the fairgrounds in Indio, or they're planning for that to be a vaccination site.
Yeah, it's already a vaccination site. So they do have, they have drive-through, because it's like 2 sections. So at the same fairgrounds, one is for testing, and then the other side is for vaccinations. So as far as I know, it was 65 and older were getting vaccinated. I don't know about, is it open to all ages right now? And then one thing about the polo grounds, they actually have polo right now. They already have polo matches since it's outdoors.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I've seen the horses already.
Yeah, and there are no spectators this year.
Yep. Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that.
You ever been out there to watch polo, Angel?
I went there last year just to hang out with friends because they're like, oh yeah, let's go. Like Sunday is usually like the best day, so we went one day, and I've never really been involved with that, but I've been to it a couple times.
It seems like it'd be a good use of time just to go check it out. Kind of fun thing to do on like a Sunday, just hang out, watch some horses, and be at Coachella.
Yeah, and it's cool because they still have the Spectrum Sphere. What is it? The Microsoft Sphere. That's still up there. So you could actually go walk up to it. You can't go inside it, but you could walk up to it, take pictures, just hang out right there in the shade. So it's kind of cool. Like you get to see the polo field all empty and you remember like, oh, I was here last year doing this, or, oh, I was close to this. You know, it's fun.
So that's kind of like a permanent thing then, huh? The Spectra?
They said this year was going to be the last, or 2020. It was supposed to be 2020, the last year they were going to have it. And since it got canceled, they kind of kept it for 2021. And I'm guessing they're going to keep it for 2022. Though I don't know how stable, or I'm pretty sure it's pretty stable. Nothing's going to happen. It's not like crazy weather. Someone told me, though, a rumor, I don't know, not confirming anything, but said someone that works for the city of India said that's like a watchtower for any potential threats to the festival. Like they have people at the top watching all the surrounding areas. Because it's kind of in the center of the whole polo field.
Oh, yeah, you can see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could see them at the top. You could see, I don't know if it was Indio PD or Riverside County Sheriffs, but yeah, like you could see people on the roof structure of it, I guess 2 years ago.
They said there's like snipers or something. And I was like, oh.
Maybe.
Yeah, there were definitely people up above. Now, if I remember, like, because they built that, and I want to say, you know, originally last year was going to be the last year they had it as the rainbow, and then they were going to have it again, and they were going to redo the colors on it. If I remember from when we did the like very first year that we did the art story on Spectrum. But I don't know. That's a good question too. I'm going to look into that and see if we know, like, are they planning to, whenever Coachella does come back, to have different colors or have it be a different art experience than what's out there right now?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. They could kind of update it, make it fresh and new with new colors, but then still keep the same structure. Then also use it for security. I believe they probably do want some snipers up there for security. Not saying I'm like a huge like gun sniper person, but it just kind of makes sense. Like from a security perspective, if you have like that one spot right there, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, there was rumors, 2019 or 2018, that someone posted like on Reddit, or that they were planning to doing something at Coachella, they were going to do some attack or something. There was maybe some like false rumor or somebody like had posted. So maybe since then they're like, oh, just in case, especially after what happened in Vegas, they just don't want to, they can't afford to have anything happen like this.
Of course not. Yeah, they have to take precautions. But anyways, and on a lighter note, Angel, you're from Coachella. You grew up around the festival. So I have to ask you, just like, does the place just feel like really values Coachella, the music festival, like during the times of COVID? Like, because I feel like there's always like this, you know, disconnect, or like, you know, there's the music festival and then there's like the local vibe. And does Coachella like really fit into the Coachella Valley? And I'm just wondering, like, do you feel like people there like genuinely miss it and want it back?
Yeah, it's well, definitely like the people that are fans of it definitely want it back, and especially for the local economy, because it brings in so much money for local businesses. And a lot of people that I know, they not only work at the festival, or they work because of the festival. So people that work at the local hotels, the local resorts, there's DJ friends, people that are bartenders, all these things. Like everybody makes a lot of money during Coachella, or they go to the festival and have a good time. So local economy is definitely hurting because of it. And I'm pretty sure 90% of the people want it back. As far as like being part of the Coachella Valley, yeah, it's just because it's the Coachella Valley in general is such a tourist attraction, not just for the festival, but like golfing, other like events that they have here, the casinos. Like it's just, everybody here just benefits from people visiting the valley. So I guess, yeah, most people do miss it.
Of course. Yeah, it's going to be really crushing. It's just millions and millions of dollars that have left the local economy with all those rentals and things like that. I think people probably are still going out to the Coachella Valley, like from Southern California, as like a quick escape during COVID. But I know a lot of those people like will jack up their prices on their rentals like so much, and that's how they really make their money. Hotels, the entire hospitality industry, I'm sure is hurting a lot. But when it comes back, it's going to come back in a big way, and I feel like it will be like the local people. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like will really embrace it, right? And it'll be like a great coming out party when Coachella finally happens, probably in 14 months from now.
Yeah, everybody is going to look forward to it. I just going to be interesting to see how people react to it, not just here, but like in general, because people are kind of scared of gatherings. To be honest, I'm kind of over the whole thing. Like I've been a little reckless and going out on the weekends now that things are starting to open up. I'm just over the whole thing.
Well, you had some cool stuff open up, right? You have like a farmer's market or something like that opened in Indio?
Yeah, so well, that's gonna be dope once Coachella opens up. So it's called the India Food Park, and it just opened up here in downtown India, which has been pretty dead for like the last 10 years. Not a lot of traffic here, and it's kind of like like a farmer's market. So indoors, you come in and there's all kinds of vendors on the walls selling different stuff like homemade soaps to designs, T-shirts. Some people selling like baked goods. Then you have beer and different types of drinks. And then outside you have food trucks come in from all over the Coachella Valley and some of them out of town from Riverside and LA. And then live music outside. So right now it's kind of limited because of course we can't have big gatherings, but eventually they're going to have like mini concerts on the weekend. So it's only open on the weekend. So if anybody wants to come down to have a good time on a weekend, they're going to be open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And inside this venue I have my studio. So inside here I have my podcast studio. So I'm going to be producing podcasts and helping other people locally through like there's some sponsorship opportunities for people to get them started producing content. And it's hard to start. I'm pretty sure you guys know it's hard to create a podcast. It's hard to create a YouTube video, a YouTube channel. So here we're going to kind of provide resources for local kids and other people that want to get started creating content. So it's a pretty cool place. It's like a small business hub. That's kind of what it is, small business hub.
Well, tell me more about your channel, because I feel like you've really done a great job of being consistent throughout COVID, because your channel was kind of about Coachella, the music festival, but now with Coachella being gone, you've just been gritty and kept it going. And you had a chance to interview the guy who recently interviewed the guy named Drew Thomas, correct?
Yeah.
Who produced the Coachella documentary that came out in 2016.
2006. It came out 2006.
It's so funny. Yeah, of course it's 2006. Like I automatically say 2016 because 2006 like isn't even in my vocabulary.
Yeah, so my YouTube channel, like it was mostly based making Coachella content throughout the year and throwing in some other local festivals, local events here in the Coachella Valley. And with everything being shut down, it was hard for me to make content because I had put so much effort into Coachella because 2019, if I go back to 2019, I made a bunch of videos leading up to the Coachella 2019, and it was so cool. Like all of my videos got a ton of views. I met a bunch of people at the festival, like you and other people that just because they watched my videos, and we met up, and it was so cool. So I was like, okay, I'm a double down and do even more videos leading up to 2020, and I did more videos. And then when everything got canceled, my whole year of making content, like grinding, making videos, it all kind of got ruined. So it was hard at first to like, and especially with the COVID, like we didn't even know what it was. Everyone's scared, thinking it's like a zombie apocalypse. We didn't know what it was. It was just crazy time. So it was hard for me to like make consistent content as I wanted to. But yeah, the last month or so, I've been trying to do more like a weekly podcast, either with friends or interviewing people. And the one I just did last week, I got to interview Drew Thomas, who he directed the Coachella documentary that came out in 2006. And he was involved in recording every single Coachella from 1999 till 2019. And he only missed 2018 because he was filming a feature film. So he's actually a movie director as well. So the only reason he missed 2018 because he was making a movie. So yeah, this guy was pretty cool.
Vanessa, what do you think of that documentary from 2006?
I loved it. So I think that you touched on this like really well in your podcast and in your video, which everybody listening to this should go and watch if they haven't seen it already. And that the one of the things that really stuck out from the 2006 documentary versus the 20 Years in the Desert documentary that came out last April was that Drew really approached it as a music film, a music concert film. Like when you're talking about the old Woodstock, the original Woodstock movie, and kind of like, and I knew this came up to like "Gimme Shelter" with the Rolling Stones, like about their concert up in Altamont that the Mills brothers did, and I really loved that because I think Drew talked about this, that it was really focused on the music. And the other thing that really struck me, and I was like nodding along as I'm like watching this, is that he was talking about it's like adapting somebody's favorite book, because Coachella, it's such an individual experience. Like everybody has such a different experience at the festival. Like trying to put it all together into this film is really, really difficult. But I really loved it. And if you haven't seen it, I kind of like, I mean, they're both really good and they're different types of movies, but I really love the 2006 Coachella because you see the very beginning, you see so much of the art, you see Arcade Fire before they were huge. So I really loved it. And I thought that you did a fantastic job. I was like just captivated with the whole interview with Drew.
My big takeaway is it's very interesting how outsider and indie those early Coachellas feel. And I feel like that documentary really captures the moment that this is not a mainstream music festival. This is a place for like people who are really into indie music and certain types of electronic techno music, that they can go. And the 2020 documentary, it shows the whole scope, where now Coachella is just like a thing for everyone. And, you know, they talk about how it's mentioned in Marvel movies and how it's such a big deal. But it's really interesting, that snapshot in 2006 where you see like a very indie music festival, and it's very captured there with a lot of the different colorful characters that he interviews and how they talk about like how they like to dance to electronic music. It's just very specific to the indie space, which Drew captured very well. Angel, what was your favorite part about interviewing Drew? Did you have some big takeaways from like how seeing the festival through his eyes?
Yeah, so the first thing to touch on what you guys said, yeah, you do get that indie feel. And it's like Coachella, when it first started, it was like people going away from pop culture, what was popular, to just have a good time, to just go and explore music and go to get lost in the desert. And like you said, Coachella 2020, the documentary kind of showed how Coachella now, it's like you have to go because it's so mainstream. It literally went away from where it first started. So yeah, it's a big evolution for the festival. And then my biggest takeaway was just talking to somebody, because I've never met somebody that's been to all 20 Coachellas, you know, like that's very unique. I've been to just the most recent ones. Of course, I was too young to go to all the beginning ones. And it's so cool that he still enjoys it, and he's been through the whole evolution. So he was there when they had no budget, when they were losing money, when there was no like a bunch of low-key bands like Arcade Fire. Like no one knew they were going to be huge and come back and be like one of the greatest festival headliners. And he got to see that, and now he sees it as, you know, mostly pop and hip hop. That's kind of like following what the music industry is going through right now, where hip hop just kind of dominates now. So yeah, it was just interesting to talk to somebody and hear his perspective, that he misses all the bands, and he misses, he said, I think 2004 was his favorite lineup.
So I'm glad you mentioned Arcade Fire, because I remember 2011 when they played and you went to the show, and they were huge at the time. They had the album, was it called Suburbs 2 or
The Suburbs?
The Suburbs.
It was just The Suburbs, right? And then they had this giant box on top of the stage, right? And you're watching the show and you're just like, what is that big box there? And then the moment when these balloons started coming out from the box, you were there, right, Angel?
Yeah, I still remember when they were putting up that box, because they, I think they put it up, oh man, I don't remember exactly if they put it up like that evening, like around 5 or 6 p.m. They put up with the crane on top of the stage, and everyone's like, what the hell is that? Like, are they gonna like start performing on top? No one knew what it was. and then you kind of forgot about it because you were watching the performance. They didn't drop the balloons till towards the later, probably like an hour into the show. So everyone was just enjoying the music. It was such a good time. And then out of nowhere, just the balloons start dropping. And I remember trying to grab them. So the ones they were dropping, I was trying to grab them, but they were so huge and nobody wanted to really grab them. You were kind of just tossing them back, kind of like when you go to a concert, there's a beach ball, you're just tossing it back and forth. And then when you were hitting them, some of them started lighting up. They started lighting up. And then eventually people realized that they were lights. And after like that song ended, I think when the next song began, they started lighting up with in sync with the song, with the music, with the beat. And it was incredible. Like that's one of probably my favorite memory from Coachella, just because it was so much fun. And then once they started lighting up and it just being in the crowd when that happened, it just made such an amazing experience.
It's definitely one of the greatest Coachella moments of all time, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Vanessa, were you there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was there and I was further back. So I remember that because I remember somebody kept pointing a laser pointer at the big black box that the crane was lifting. I remember because I was further back in the crowd to like kind of take in the whole thing. And when the balls dropped and then you saw the light show, like seeing the light show from afar and then seeing the band, it was wild. It was one of the coolest Coachella like moments ever. And I remember thinking, because I think a couple weeks after, or the week after that, because it was 2011, was Big Four, and then Metallica dropped their beach balls after it, but theirs did not light up. It was not as exciting.
But theirs did not light up. I was there for the Big Four as well.
It was still fun, but not as memorable.
Yeah. Yeah, they weren't as memorable, but that was fun.
One of my great friends, Enrique, has one of those beach balls, and I was just texting him the other day, and I was like, "Hey, wait, do you have it still?" It's in storage. So I was like, "Dude, we're gonna go together. Let's go meet up. Yeah, let's go get that." Like, I told him I would lease it from him. Like, I want, like, if that thing's just in storage, like, it deserves to not just be in storage. I want that. So
ask him if he sells it.
Like I would make it like a chandelier in my living room or something, or in the dining room. Does the light still work? I want to know more. Yeah, let's get it out of storage.
I know. We need to get it.
Yeah, I want to see that. I have not seen that it's already 11 years, 10 years. It's been a decade.
It's crazy. Such a good moment. And it's just like, I feel like for like indie rock, it's almost as like a high point. Like, you're never going to beat that. Like Arcade Fire coming out, and the moment when those balls lit up, like, let's not diminish that moment, because these balls are coming down and you're like, okay, that's fun. They're all coming down. They're kind of lit up a little bit, but then they like change color, and some are purple and some are yellow, and they're syncing to the music. It was just like attention to detail that can never be recreated. It's a surprise factor. And Arcade Fire just goes down in the Coachella Hall of Fame for, they were in the original documentary, then they played in 2011, and they played a few years later with the Reflector album, which is amazing, produced by James Murphy of LCD Sound System. So they are definitely like the band, I would say, that just captures the indie vibe of Coachella, especially since they're in the first documentary. Coachella's kind of moved on away from that sound, and just seeing how they perform, like there's something about the Arcade Fire vibe that they're faking it, but it seems so innocent and pure that really captures that indie vibe.
It's because they play so many different types of instruments, and
they
look like they're having fun playing, like they're just there. Just like, I think in the Coachella documentary, someone mentions how they're like, oh, I came to Coachella and I never even heard of that instrument, and I was just happy to hear different types of sounds. And I think that's what like Arcade Fire kind of brings together, is that new sounds and sounds you've never heard of, and combined together, they're just an awesome band.
They're kind of due for a big comeback, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. That's what I think is going to be really interesting when Coachella does come back. Like, do you have Arcade Fire when we reset? Do you have Arcade Fire alongside the likes of a Travis Scott and a pop star? Like, I guess we can go with Ariana Grande again. Like, I'm going to be really interested to see that, because, what you said, that Coachella and Arcade Fire, I feel like the rise of Arcade Fire and the rise of Coachella are definitely intertwined. So I think it's going to be interesting. They are due for a comeback. They had that record, Everything Now. It was kind of like a disco record. I actually liked it more than a lot of people did. But they played the Forum, and they played, I can't remember if they played Staples too, but it wasn't as big as some of their previous stuff, but it was a good record. I would love to see them come back. And then, I mean, one of the other moments too is like, I feel like every time they play, there's a big Coachella moment, because when they were there for Reflector, they ended the set like with the Preservation Hall Jazz Band, who was also on the bill, and they did like a second line, like a New Orleans style second line through the crowd. And it's just, there's always something magical when they play. So I hope that they come back and create more Coachella magic.
What do you guys think of the lineup though? So now that it's 2 years removed, like there's no way it's going to be anything close to what the 2020 lineup was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought it up. There's certain bands that we're really hoping are still going to play, like Rage Against the Machine, but who knows what's going to happen. It could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, in music, it's really interesting. I have no idea. I mean, I think that Dua Lipa, maybe she headlines now.
Yes.
Maybe Billie Eilish headlines now. You know, Billie Eilish could have headlined when she played like 2 years ago. But I mean, she's even bigger now. Like maybe one of them headlines. They were on like the second line. Maybe they rise up. You know, maybe we see Lizzo come back. At that point, Lizzo might have new music. Another person who I know we've talked about on the podcast before. I think that you're going to see, here's what I do think. I think that what the lineup was going to be for 2020, it was going to be the most diverse lineup as far as having more people of color, having more women. And I think that that's still going to continue. I think that that is something that we're seeing across the board, or we were seeing more across the board before everything shut down. And I think that, you know, in the last year, people are talking about that even more. So I expect that to continue. And I think it's going to be awesome to see more women at the top of the bill.
And something, Megan Thee Stallion with TikTok, she became such a huge artist over the last year. Like Coachella 2020 would have happened. She was still coming up at that time, but now with TikTok, like every song she drops, it just goes viral. So
absolutely,
she just became such a huge name in the music industry.
Yeah, she's another person who could headline. We could have maybe in 2022, we see the first like all-female headliner Coachella. That'd be pretty rad.
I could see it happening.
Angel, did you see Travis Scott in whatever it was, 2015, 2016, back in the day?
It was, I think, 2016 or 2017. I don't remember exactly. I only got to see a little bit. I don't remember why, but I had seen him in 2016 at another festival in Arizona. And I didn't even remember the name of that festival. It was a festival where him and Kanye and Chance the Rapper performed. And he was amazing. That was when he only had dropped Rodeo.
Yeah.
And I really love that album. So Travis Scott's great. And I haven't seen him since because I missed the Coachella. Because I was watching somebody at the Sahara tent because he was in the outdoor theater. But I don't remember who I was watching, to be honest. But no, I got to miss him. And I didn't get to see his Astroworld tour, which I saw footage. It looked incredible. So that's somebody I really wanted to see because I know his concerts are just so amazing. He kind of brings that like rock vibe. So like a rock star, like you really like you go to his concert because you're going to just go crazy.
But even specifically, like I was watching his performance on YouTube and like they were sampling a lot of guitars. Like it literally sounded like rock, like a mid-90s grunge heavy metal type of thing. Like absolutely. He brings the rock vibe and I just love his energy. Like I would have been so down to see him as a headliner in 2020. Interesting to see if he comes back. Like I would be so down if Travis Scott makes it back. And then there's Frank Ocean, who's just like so creative. The way that all of his songs, I was kind of reconnecting with Frank Ocean because I was a huge fan of his back with, was it Channel Orange? Like I guess that's
Orange,
also 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely heard like the album that came out. I think it was like 2016, 2017 with like Nikes and all that, but kind of drifted away. But I guess like for Frank Ocean to be headlining is just a very like unique thing that he just doesn't do a lot of big performances, right?
Yeah, he's very obscure. He doesn't even perform or he's not on social media much. He's kind of those personalities that just kind of stays hidden. And when he performs, you kind of have to see him because you never know when's the next time you're going to see him. So, yeah, I saw him in Coachella 2012, I believe. He was in one of those small tents like the Mojave or the Gobi Theater. He was like a small artist back then, and he was great.
You caught it?
I did watch it, and what's his name? Tyler, the Creator, was there, and then they started climbing like the where the speakers are. When Frank Ocean was performing, they were climbing right there, the side of the speakers, all the way to the room. They were like on top of it, just hyping up the crowd. It was pretty crazy because they were part of the same like group.
Yeah, what is the group called, Vanessa? You probably know this.
Odd Future.
Is it?
Odd
yeah,
Future,
of course.
yeah.
Odd Future. Yes, I'm so lame that I forget that.
Actually, technically, Odd Future Wolfgang Killed Them All is the long one, but everyone just calls him Odd Future.
Of course.
Wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting because I saw Frank Ocean at the last FYF. And that was like, because I mean, he had Spike Jonze, who did, the great like Beastie Boys videos, directing, and like Brad Pitt was like acting on stage. It was like performance art. So I'll be honest, the set didn't grab me. It didn't resonate with me, but I appreciated the artistic value of it.
Angel, who are some of the other artists that you are, that you were digging on the 2020 lineup, even though we don't know if they're going to be coming back or not? Anything else caught your eye on the lineup?
So 2020 lineup, well, definitely I wanted to see Calvin Harris again because I know he's been there so many times and he's already headlined and everything. But I mean, when he headlined in 2015, 2016, he was amazing. And he's just such an amazing DJ. And I know like he's going to just put on an amazing performance. And it's weird. Is this the first time that you had a headliner who headlined a Sunday come back and not even be one of the headliners? Like, has this ever even happened before at Coachella?
Yes.
Yeah, nothing comes to mind.
Beck, Weezer. I think Weezer headlined one year early on, and then when they last played, they didn't headline. And I know Beck for sure headlined, and then he did not headline on his last one.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about the early ones. Yeah, so Calvin Harris, that's somebody I wanted to see. Also, Banda MS. So I know they're like a Spanish-Mexican band. And I wanted to see them because it's the first time you ever have a band playing at Coachella, like this style of music. And the last couple of years, you've had a lot of Mexican artists start showing up on the lineup. Before, in 2009, my first year that I went, they had a band called Molotov, which is like Spanish rock, and they were pretty good. I saw them at the Outdoor Theater. That was my first Coachella. I was like 16 years old at the time. And then for a while, I didn't really see a lot of Latin or like Mexican artists until like 2018. They started coming back. Los Ángeles Azules, which was at the main stage like at 3 p.m. on Friday. And then 2019, Los Tucanes de Tijuana. And then this year, you had Banda MS. So like 3 years in a row, different types of Spanish Mexican bands coming in. So I wanted to see them, to see what the crowd was going to react to them playing live, which would have been really interesting.
Well, and you bring up something that's really interesting too. You talked about how in the Coachella Valley, like it's so big for tourism. Like all three of those artists, I believe, have played like Fantasy Springs Resort Casino down the road, or they played the Indio Fairgrounds. Like those are artists that you would see like at the Date Festival every year. So I think it's really interesting that Coachella started bringing them in, and that like I feel like when I was watching, especially Los Ángeles Azules, like you saw people who like not like a ton of young people who knew these songs from like backyard barbecues, and I thought that was so awesome, and I thought it was really cool. And like also, they all played or were going to play the Chella concert, which came up in recent years, and that happens between the two weekends, and it's actually they call it like Chella. Like the celebration of the community, and there are a number of they've had those Spanish language artists, and they've had some up and coming artists. Like I know Cuco, I think, played the first year. Have you been to any of the Cellas, Angel?
Yes. So regarding them playing locally, besides on Chella, they do play here all the time. So here in the Coachella Valley, like since we talk about the service economy, the biggest population here is like Latino, Hispanic, Mexican, and you don't get a lot of representation in the festival, even though a majority of the residents here fall into the category. So now Coachella's kind of implementing that into their lineup, which is pretty cool. And they started doing Chella in 2018. They did it for the last 2 years. And yeah, I went to both of them. So you had some of the same artists that were performing at Coachella perform on a Wednesday in between the two festivals at the Indio Fairgrounds, which is like 10 minutes from the Polo Grounds. And it was cool because then you get to see a lot of the people a lot of like older crowds, a lot of more families, kids, just people, even some people that go to the Coachella would also show up. But for the most part, it was all community and more affordable prices as well, because a lot of people can't afford to go to Coachella, especially if you don't even know all the music that's going to be played there. So you kind of just want to stick to the things you know. So it was cool to see that. And then we had like the mayors. I saw some of the local mayors and other people there that I recognize. So yeah, the Chella experience is pretty cool. It's kind of like a little mini community concert featuring some big names that are playing at Coachella.
I just want to jump in with Banda MS real quick, because I was listening to Banda MS and I love this banda style music. It is so big and over the top, but so old fashioned. And like big and over the top, meaning they have like a full band with, you have your horns. Some of them will have an accordion. And I recently got into music from like my own cultural heritage, which is Switzerland. And it sounds the exact same. And I think I heard about this, that there was like some German influence that came in through northern Mexico, where some of the norteño, northern Mexican type banda music that got influenced by some of the same sounds that the Swiss music that I am recently trying to get into. Like, it's just like, it's all the same. Like, that's the thing. Like, I love this old fashioned style of music where it's dancing, it's fun. And I would have been so down. I would have been right up front for Banda MS. Same way, Angel, you remember I was there with you for Los Tucanes de Tijuana.
Yeah.
And you were a hard person to find, because I'm gonna criticize you a little bit on your Coachella expertise, because I remember you were telling me to like come meet you on the other side. And it's like, no, you have to give me like a specific meeting point at one of the speakers, or like, that's my main takeaway from this, is have a very specific meeting point, because I can remember very specifically at Los Tucanes de Tijuana, like trying to find you. Sure enough, I found you with your light blue Charger jersey, which I love that. I want you always to rock that light blue Charger jersey. I love the Chargers. I lived in San Diego for 10 years. I've got my light blue.
Wait a minute, that's how you should have found them pretty easily. There aren't that many Chargers fans. I'm sorry.
I know, right? I've got my light blue Antonio Gates jersey. So next time at Coachella, we're all gonna like meet up, wear our light blue Charger jerseys, and meet up at like a specific speaker, or be more specific, because if we're gonna meet up, we have to like, if we're gonna be the Coachella podcasting, you've got the top Coachella YouTube channel. I've got the first podcast. We got to be on top of this, because if we can't meet up and give specific instructions, then no one can.
Yeah, definitely. We can't even follow our own advice. So.
I know.
I guess I'm going to have to get a Chargers jersey now, but like my Ravens heart says no.
Well, you lived in Southern California. I think it's time to make the switch for all these years.
I mean, how about a Padres? Like I'll wear my Padres jersey. I feel like that stands out,
yes.
Right? Like that'll work.
Can we just have a whole podcast talking about how lit the new Padres jerseys are?
I love them. I love them so much. Yes.
Do you like the Padres, Angel?
I'm not a big baseball fan. I used to have a Padres jersey back in the day, but I just haven't followed baseball for like 10 years or so.
I don't blame you. I don't care about baseball either, but the new Padres jerseys are tight. What about Cuco? Did you see him at Chella? You said you saw him at Chella, right? But did he play the Sonora tent maybe?
He played a Sonora tent, yeah. I saw him at the Sonora tent, and it was a very small crowd, because my wife is really into Cuco. Well, she kind of like was the one who introduced me to Cuco back in 2017, 2018. I don't remember these dates. It's already been so long. But yeah, I saw him at the Sonora stage. The first year that they had the Sonora stage had to be 2018. And then I got to see Cuco once again, because he had gone through like a car crash, and I don't know, like it was a very depressing performance, to be honest. And what was this festival called?
Was it Tropicalia? Did he play Tropicalia?
Yeah, Tropicalia Fest on Sunday. And it was just kind of like, he didn't even play some of his best songs, and the whole time he looked sad just being on stage, and it was just weird. Everyone kind of got like weird vibes from him. But he just has such unique style of music, and I wanted to see him one more time, so I was hoping for Coachella for him to like be back, and that's someone I was looking forward to in the 2020 lineup.
He's just such a normal guy, like, and then he's got his songs talking about how he's just like an average guy driving in his Honda CRV, but actually, like, listening to his newer music, it's much more elaborate and intricate and beautiful, that I really like to see that I was really happy to like reconnect with him in preparation for this podcast, listening to some of his newer stuff, a lot of collaboration with other artists, and he's really like unfolded. There's a lot more production value. It's really beautiful. So like he's just like a Coachella favorite. Like everyone on the chat rooms loves him, and it's just really cool that just such like a normal dude can like be beloved by Coachella. Let's talk about some of the other artists that we're going to play in 2020 really quick. I saw one artist that, Angel, I think maybe you heard of her, Hatsume Miku. Did you check this? Did you check this out, Hatsume Miku?
Hatsune Miku, yeah. So whenever I make Coachella content, I get comments all the time. I usually ask like, "Oh, some artists you guys recommend?" And because the internet, I mean, there's people from all over the world who watch these videos. They were recommending Hatsume Miku, and I never even heard of this. So I was like, "What is that?" So I looked it up, and I guess it's not. I still don't even know, to be honest. But they said it's some kind of like computer generated like artist or something. I don't even know. It's supposed to be just like anime music. I don't even know, to be honest. But it looks super interesting because it's not a real artist. It's all computer. And I wanted to see what Coachella was going to do with the production value and how it's going to look. And it was probably going to be at the Sahara tent. But I wanted to see them just because it sounded so interesting that it's computer generated and sounds like something from the future. So I wanted to be part of it.
Totally. I was like, I was thinking the same thing. Like, is this kind of going to be like the Tupac hologram 2.0, but with a complete like computer generated singer? And she's so popular. Like her popularity is insane. So I really wanted to see that. I hope that they bring her back for, I mean, I feel like of any of the artists, she's got to be the easiest to book, right? Because she's computer generated.
With Japanese culture, they love like things that are really cute. Shout out to my MBA program at Cal State Dominguez Hills. And we did like an international business class where one of the professors had lived in Japan, and we did this whole little case study on Japanese culture. And I guess in Japan, like things aren't going so great. Like the population is aging, the economy is in decline a little bit, and people are really into like cuteness. And it's just kind of a way of like kind of sheltering how you really feel. Like in Japanese culture, you never really like say how you really feel to people. It's very difficult. But what you do is like they have a lot of like really, really cute things. That's like a way of communicating with people. And when I saw this, it reminded me of that lecture that I listened to about how Japanese culture just loves like cute things. And it's just this cartoon girl who's supposed to be 16 years old. And they took an artist, so her voice is based on a real Japanese artist, but they basically sampled it and they've run it through so many different artificial intelligence programs. And it's been around for a while. Like she's not a new thing. I think it's at least 10 years that Hatsume Miku has been a thing. And I just love it. And Vanessa, you'll appreciate this because I was listening to Hatsume Miku and I was thinking about how like fun and light and sweet and happy this is. But when I see Hatsume Miku, I want to go right after that to go see something like Japan Droids and see something really gritty and dark and raw. And then the guy, Angel, you were just interviewing Drew Thomas. He gave a shout out to Japan Droids. I know Vanessa loves that band too. So I'm just saying, them. Like, yes, I will go see Hatsume Miku, but immediately after that, I want to go see something totally raw and dark and live and organic. So you have to balance out that at Coachella. You can see something artificial and Japanese and foreign, but then I want like right after that, I want to have something like very gritty and American and guitars. You know, you have to have both sounds.
You know what though? That you've just figured out like your easiest Coachella path. Like if Hatsume Miku is back, like you've just figured out the easiest part of your data plan. You're going from that to like loud guitars.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, I don't think I'm familiar with those whatever you guys said.
Yeah, your guy was shouting them out.
Japan Droids. I want to let me do my promo for Japan Droids. Okay, so it's two guys. They're Canadian. They're amazing. It's just a guitar and drums, and it is like it's amazing punk rock awesomeness. I love Japan Droids. Celebration Rock, that record that came out before they played Coachella, what is like one of my favorite records ever. And fun fact, the photos from Coachella are in the liner notes for their album that came out after that. So I highly recommend Japan Droids.
Nice.
If you want to rock out.
I'll definitely check it out.
Well, let's start to wrap it up, guys. Angel, it's really good to have you on the podcast. What's your vibe towards, do you think people are going to want to go to Coachella after all the crazy stuff from COVID? Like, do you see like a lot of people getting vaccinated and just making it happen? Like, what's the vibe locally towards the vaccine and getting things back to normal?
I think people are just ready. Like, people just want to go back to their normal selves, normal lives, doing whatever, having fun, enjoying. It's been a whole year, and I think people are just kind of over just being home and not doing anything. They just gonna kind of go out. It's gonna be okay. So it's weird because at first it's gonna be like, oh, who's gonna go to a music festival with so many people? But at the same time, we as humans have such a short memory, and as after like the first 2 weeks, everyone's just gonna be going out and doing whatever. I feel like that's what it's going to be. We're definitely going to see a lot more masks because we already saw masks at Coachella, which is nothing new. So it's going to be just like, oh, people are already wearing masks anyway. So just going to see more masks because I actually got a comment on one of my YouTube videos, and it was like, I was recording kind of like the crowd, and you see a lot of people wearing masks, and someone comments is like, why are people wearing masks if COVID wasn't even around back then? Like, I just started laughing.
The Coachella flu was around before COVID.
Yeah, see, we were all prepared. Coachella prepared us. I mean...
Yes, it prepared us.
It did. Like, if I can walk to and from the car in the parking lot with the mask, I can pretty much do anything with the mask, right? Like, in the heat of the day, at the end of the night, like when I'm exhausted, I can do it all. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like as soon as I have the vaccine and I can go to a concert again, like I can't wait. I will go to all the concerts. This is the longest I've ever gone without going to concerts, and it's really weird, and I don't like it.
Same here. I want to go to concerts. That's like one of the things. That and going to the movies is the thing I miss the most. Like, I actually miss going to the movies. I know people, it's like kind of like a dying thing, but the movie theater is just such a cool experience for me.
Well, thank you so much, Angel, for coming on the podcast. How can people follow you? Your YouTube channel? Is it just Wormiaful? People can find you there. Yeah,
on YouTube it's just Angel Chavez on YouTube.
Okay.
Just search up Angel Chavez, and you'll see my icon has like a blue face with a beard. You'll definitely won't miss it. And YouTube, just go to YouTube. So if anybody listening, just go to my YouTube channel, and then they could start watching some of my Coachella content, some of the podcasts I've been doing, and yeah.
Well, fantastic. Hope to see you soon, man.
Yeah, I definitely want to connect with you guys whenever Coachella comes around, hopefully sooner than later.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Well, nice meeting you, Vanessa. Thank you for having the awesome conversation. It just brings you back, like talking to other people that really love the festival as much as I do. So it's pretty fun.
All right. Thank you. Well, that does it for this episode of Can't Feel the Heat. Follow us on Instagram at Can't Feel the Heat. I'm going to push stop right now. We got it.